In the final moments before death, most warriors see their mistake. Miyamoto Musashi saw his victory 3 hours before the fight even began. There is a war happening right now, and you are losing it. It's not fought with bullets or bombs, but with words, glances, and split-second decisions. Every conversation is a battlefield where minds clash in ways most people never recognize. 400 years ago, in the mist-covered mountains of feudal Japan, one man discovered the secret to winning this invisible war. His name echoes through history not because he was the strongest, but because he understood something profound. Reality is not what you see. It is what you perceive, and perception can be engineered. Miyamoto Musashi walked through a world where deception meant death, where reading intentions incorrectly could end your bloodline forever. Yet, in over 60 life-or-death encounters, he was never once deceived, never caught off guard, and never outsmarted. He didn't achieve this mastery through superior strength or faster reflexes, but by discovering the invisible architecture of the human mind, the hidden patterns that govern how we think, decide, and reveal our deepest intentions without even knowing it. Picture the morning of April 13, 1612. The island of Genryu sits wrapped in fog, its shores barely visible through the gray dawn. On this beach waits Sasaki Kojiro, known throughout Japan as the Swallow Cut, a man whose blade moves faster than the eye can follow. He arrived at sunrise as honor demanded. His sword, 3 feet of perfect steel forged by masters, gleams in the pale light. He stands ready, every muscle coiled like a spring, his mind sharp. Hours pass, the sun climbs, the fog lifts. Still, no Musashi. While Kojiro stands on that beach growing frustrated, impatient, and angry, his mind is being sculpted. Each passing minute carves away his composure, his confidence, and his center. By the time Musashi finally appears, the duel is already won. This is the first principle of the invisible war. Time is not neutral. It is a weapon. The person who controls its flow controls everything else. Consider how this applies to your world. That colleague who always responds to your emails exactly 24 hours later is controlling time to establish psychological dominance. The salesperson who creates artificial deadlines is weaponizing your relationship with urgency. The person who consistently arrives exactly 15 minutes late to meetings is training everyone else to wait, to accommodate, and to revolve around their schedule. When Musashi steps from his boat 3 hours late, he carries no steel sword. Instead, he holds a piece of roughly carved wood and or hastily shaped during his journey. Kojiro laughs. The spectators murmur in confusion. But Musashi understands something they don't. The deadliest weapon isn't the sharpest blade. It is the disruption of expectation. In his final work, The Book of 5 Rings, Musashi wrote, "You must understand that there is more than one reality. What people believe to be real and what is actually happening are often completely different things. This isn't just ancient wisdom. It is the key to navigating modern deception. Every day, people present you with carefully constructed versions of reality. The colleague who smiles while sabotaging your project, the salesman who creates urgency where none exists, or the politician who offers solutions to problems they helped create." Musashi trained himself to see the layers beneath what he called the true form hiding behind the apparent form. Here is how it works in practice. You walk into a business meeting. Everyone is being friendly, professional, and collaborative. But Musashi's eye would notice the micro-tensions. Who sits where? Who speaks first? Whose ideas get acknowledged and whose get ignored? He would observe the meeting behind the meeting, the one happening in glances, in timing, and in what remains unsaid. He would notice that when a specific topic arises, everyone looks down at their phones. When the budget is mentioned, the CEO's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. When a timeline is suggested, 3 people check their calendars, but 2 of them aren't actually looking at dates. They are buying time to think. This skill isn't mystical. It is simply learning to observe without projecting your own assumptions onto what you see. Most people watch the world through the filter of their own hopes, fears, and preconceptions. Musashi called this polishing the mirror of perception, gradually removing all the dust and distortion until reality reflects clearly. There is a story about Musashi that most people misunderstand. During one of his duels, his opponent kept waiting for him to assume a fighting stance, but Musashi just stood there completely relaxed, almost casual. His opponent grew increasingly agitated, switching between different guards, trying to provoke a reaction. Finally, frustrated beyond reason, he attacked with a desperate lunge. Musashi stepped aside and ended the duel with a single strike. People call this luck or superior reflexes, but it was something far more sophisticated. Musashi had learned to become psychologically invisible. When your mind is completely calm and present, you give off no signals for others to read, no tension to exploit, no emotions to manipulate, and no patterns to predict. You become like water, shapeless until the moment you need to take form. This state of psychological invisibility is perhaps the most powerful defense against deception. When someone tries to manipulate you, they are looking for something to grab onto: your fears, desires, insecurities, or ego. But if your mind is like still water, there is nothing for their tactics to stick to. Think about the last time someone really got under your skin. Your breathing probably changed, your shoulders tensed, your voice rose, and your face flushed. These are all signals, information that the other person can use to adjust their approach. But imagine responding from a state of inner stillness. Your breathing remains steady, your voice calm, and your posture grounded. You listen completely, process what is being said without defensiveness, and respond from a place of genuine curiosity. This isn't suppression. It is what Musashi called the mind that doesn't stick. Neuroscientists explain that when we are emotionally reactive, our prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for rational thinking, literally goes offline. We become predictable. But individuals who maintain psychological equilibrium under stress show consistent activity in areas associated with strategic thinking. Research from MIT reveals that the most successful negotiators aren't those who argue the hardest, but those who remain psychologically neutral while gathering information. Musashi discovered that emptiness isn't absence, it is potential. When your mind becomes truly quiet, you begin to see people's intentions before they do. Most human behavior follows predictable patterns. People telegraph their moves through changes in breathing, subtle shifts in posture, and variations in speech rhythm. This is why Musashi practiced no mind, not thinking about technique, but being completely present. In daily life, this translates to the ability to respond rather than react. When you are not pushing your agenda, defending your position, or trying to prove anything, people often reveal far more than they intended. Musashi understood that most people are uncomfortable with silence. They will rush to fill that vacuum with information, explanations, and justifications. Every person carries an invisible script, a story they tell themselves about who they are. Master manipulators know how to read these scripts, but Musashi went deeper. He learned to see not just what people believed about themselves, but what they were desperately trying to hide. The businessman who talks constantly about success, but avoids eye contact when discussing numbers. The friend who insists they are fine, but whose laughter sounds forced. These contradictions are not character flaws, they are information. They tell you where someone's authentic self conflicts with their projected self. For example, in a salary negotiation, if your manager says the budget is tight, but you notice their expensive new watch, or recent vacation photos, the surface story is about budget, but the deeper pattern might be about priorities or their own insecurity about authority. When you see these patterns, you stop arguing with the surface story and address the underlying reality. You find the path of least resistance. There is a moment in every interaction, a microsecond between stimulus and response, where everything hangs in the balance. Musashi learned to inhabit this space, calling it the void between breaths. In combat, this meant the difference between reactive flailing and precise effectiveness. In daily life, it means the difference between being manipulated and maintaining your center. Instead of defending, you might ask a question. Instead of attacking, you might find common ground. This is what Musashi meant by winning without fighting, resolving conflict at a level so fundamental that external struggle becomes unnecessary. However, Musashi's greatest insight wasn't about reading other people. It was about reading himself so clearly that external deception became impossible. Your intuition sent signals, but you overrode them because seeing clearly would have been uncomfortable. In his final years, he wrote, "I have defeated many enemies, but my greatest victory was over the enemy within." If you acknowledge your own capacity for self-serving rationalization, you will spot it immediately when someone else does it. The path to never being fooled isn't about becoming suspicious. It is about becoming honest. On that misty morning at Ganryu Island, when Musashi stepped from his boat carrying a wooden sword, he wasn't just facing Sasaki Kojiro. That same morning is happening for you right now. Every moment offers the choice between clarity and confusion. The sword Musashi really mastered was forged from pure awareness, the kind that cuts through illusions so cleanly that truth reveals itself naturally. The question isn't whether you will fight. The question is whether you will win. Thanks for watching. If this video resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more insights on mastering your own mind.